Hi, I'm Simon and welcome to my 27th vlog. Today's video is going to be all about, or mostly about, digital downloads, games that I've bought and played in the last couple of years. In the last video I spoke quite a lot about the boxed copies of games that I've picked up and played, and it made me think that there were so many other games that I've played that I just didn't even think to talk about because the boxes weren't right in front of me. So I'm going to address those in this video. But I'm going to start by thanking you guys for watching the last video, then talk a little bit about why I haven't made a video in the last month, because I've mentioned at the end of the last video I was definitely going to make another one almost straight away, and it was my intention. And then I'll talk all about the games. So first to that thank you, a big thank you to all of you who've watched and commented on that last video. The comments, all of them were really nice. Thank you so much for your kind words, and some of them were really surprising in that you said you were excited and surprised to see a video from me in your YouTube feed. So thank you so much for that. It's already worthwhile making videos to put out onto YouTube because of the interaction between me and yourself. But when you get nice comments like that, it really makes it even better. So thank you. I'm glad that some of you really enjoy the videos, and hopefully you'll like this one too. And on to the reason why I haven't made one in the last month or so. Well, after finishing filming and finally getting around to editing the last video and putting it up on YouTube, almost straight after that happened, I got ill. I had a kind of coldy flu type thing. Not too bad. I was off work for a day, which is pretty unusual for me. I'm normally quite healthy. And I was so ill that I didn't really feel in the mood for making a video. And I wasn't even 100% better by the time I went on holiday, which was about the 23rd of December until about the 29th. I went to the Maldives, which might sound fancy, but it's not. Well, I mean, it is beautiful, but what I mean is I didn't go on one of those luxury holidays to a resort island. I didn't go and stay in a hut on stilts out in the sea with a glass floor. No, my budget doesn't stretch to that sort of thing. So my wife and I booked a holiday to like a local island and stayed in a guest house, and I have to admit it was a fantastic holiday. It was a beautiful place to go to, and I think I haven't been to one of the resort islands, but I got the impression that the type of holiday I had was more the sort of thing that I enjoy. I like meeting the local people. I like seeing how people live from day to day, and it was quite interesting for me that the island had only really just started the tourism industry, because it was back in February 2016 when they opened their first guest house on the island. Now they've only got 4 guest houses, I think a total of 12 or 16 rooms, something like that. The place we stayed in only had 4 rooms. And then they don't get a lot of tourists to the island. In fact, the end of our holiday was the busiest they'd been on the island. They had full occupancy in all the guest houses, so much so that they'd overbooked and had to take this Japanese couple. As we were leaving the island, we had to take them to another island, to one of their other guest houses, and drop them off there. But yeah, fantastic place. And doing it that way, you get to experience a lot of the things that you would experience on a resort island. You get to, it's the same sea, the same air that you're breathing, many of the same beautiful sights. You can even visit many of the resort islands. Of course, you have to pay for that, which we didn't do. We enjoyed the island that we were on. It was a very small island, took about 1.5 minutes to walk from one side to the other. But it was surrounded by coral, and some of it really full of life, other parts, a bit dead, but still quite a lot of fish around. Got to see many different varieties of tropical fish. Even got to see a sea turtle when I went out on one of the boat trips. Didn't do any scuba diving because, again, trying to keep it on a budget. Snorkeling was free, snorkeling around the island, or only a minimal cost to take a boat trip to go and visit one of the nearby reefs. Yeah, I loved it and would definitely go back, and would definitely recommend to any of you to visit the Maldives. I think the thing that made it even cheaper for us living here is because it's closer than it is in the UK or the States if you're watching from there. But yeah, you can get a cheap sort of budget airline flight to the Maldives, and that brings the cost down even more. So yeah, really good holiday, but that interrupted video making. And then when I got back, it was New Year, so I was in Dubai celebrating with some friends, and then the day after that, pretty much, or a couple of days after, I started the new term at work, and so I've been busy, and now I've got some free time. So I thought, great, I'm gonna make that video I wanted to make last year. And actually, you're going to see more videos from me over the next 9 months, because I've got quite a bit more free time on my hands, because my wife isn't going to be here. No, I haven't got divorced. She's going to work on a different project in Thailand. So she really, really loves teaching, and she loves teaching other people how to teach. So she's going to Thailand's second largest city, whose name I can't pronounce. At least I think it's their second largest city. And she's going to be working in more of the rural areas around it, going into schools, training up the English teachers on methodology of teaching, but also helping them raise their own level of English to make it easier for them to teach their students. So she's really excited about that. She loves Thailand and places like Thailand. So yeah, she's going to be having fun. I'm going to be a little bit lonely, I think, but I've got you guys to talk to, so I'm going to make some more videos, which, if you like them, is good for you. And well, I suppose I've got more time to play video games as well. I can just do what I want to do, so that's a win for me. But also, she's going to be over there in the summertime. I've got a holiday in the summer, so rather than going back to the UK, I'm going to go out to Thailand, do a bit of travelling around there in the surrounding countries. I've never been to Laos or Vietnam. I would love to go back to Cambodia. I haven't been to Myanmar, so there's a lot to see around there, so it should make for a good and relatively inexpensive summer holiday. So yeah, that's good, that's good. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. That's where I'm going to go with the channel. Let's get on to the video games. So you already know how long this video is, and you've probably already got a drink, but you know, I'm going to relax a little bit for this, so I'm going to take a seat on the sofa and chat to you all about these games I've been playing. Okay, so what I've done, I've put the games on my phone. I've written some notes about what they are, because there's quite a few to talk about, and I'll probably forget if I don't keep referring to this. Well, the first group of games that I want to talk about are ones that have picked up the somewhat derogatory title of walking simulator. And true, these games do involve a lot of walking, but you also occasionally interact with something, and more importantly, a story unfolds as you travel around the landscape. Going back, I don't know, I guess about a couple of years actually, I bought this game, but I didn't play it until about a year ago. It piqued my interest, so I picked it up in a Steam sale, I think the 2014 Christmas sale. But yeah, it wasn't until sometime in 2015, no, even early 2016 when I played it. And that game is The Novelist. And it's quite a simple concept. You are a ghost that is haunting a a lake house, and a family, husband, wife and son, have visited the lake house, and they've got sort of family issues with each other. The relationship between the mother and father is a little bit rocky. The relationship between the kid and the parents has got some problems. And so as the ghost, you move around the house trying to be unseen by them and listen in on their conversations, and then try to influence their decisions when they go to bed. And it's a fairly short game. I think the time of the story is supposed to be the summer holiday, and there are just select days throughout the holiday in which you watch them and you see how the story is by interacting with objects in the house, like notes that have been left around, even actually going into the thoughts of the person and seeing things in flashback. You get to see how the story unfolds, and by interacting with them while they're sleeping, interacting with the father, who you can manipulate. I don't know whether I'm describing it that well, but it was really compelling. It's visually it's quite basic, but the story that's told is really heartwarming, and the fact that you can influence the relationships and the outcome of the story was something that really interested me. And it's a pretty cheap game. It might only take 2 or 3 hours to complete it, but for something that costs probably £5 to £10, to me, that's pretty good value for money. So that was the first of the walking simulators. Another one, it is out on the PC, but I played it on the PS4, and I bought it as soon as it came out because I saw a little bit of information about it before it was released and thought, yeah, that's really up my street. Very strange, but quite unusual. And that is Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. And it's set in a fictional English countryside town in, I think, Somerset. And everybody's gone. And all that's left is this wispy energy. And you walk around this beautiful English village, and you interact with the energy, and occasionally other little objects that have been left behind. You hear recorded messages on radios and through telephones, and you kind of piece together the story. And it's really well acted. You never, or at least to be honest, I haven't even finished it. I've got through 2 or 3 chapters of it. Each one seems to be related to one of the characters in the village, and you see the sort of energy outlines of where the people were who are acting in the scene, and you just hear their voices, and the voice acting is really strong, really believable. All of the characters in the village feel quite real, or at least they do to me. And the environment itself looks very real. They've gone for a photorealistic look with sort of stylized light as well. I mean, right from the very beginning of the game, you're looking out onto a beautiful country landscape, and the light of the sun is shining across the land and through the trees, and you're seeing sort of nice rays of light. When I first started playing it, I thought it was going to be some sort of cutscene, but then I realized, oh no, I'm actually in the game, because you can move the joystick and walk around. The frame rate on the PS4 is not that great. It's got motion blur, which kind of smooths over the edges of that. It would be nicer, I think, if it were a 60 frames per second kind of game. At least it would appeal more to me, but still, it's a beautiful game. The effects of the light, the sound effects all work really well. But the thing it left me feeling at the time was, I wish this game was in VR. I mean, I know with these walking simulators, I think that's something that I keep coming back to. Their first-person experiences, and they would be even better in VR. But I'm not going to talk too much about VR because that's another video. None of these games I'm going to talk about today are VR games, but everybody's gone to the Rapture. Maybe it's going to be a couple of years, 5 years down the line. I'd expect that a VR version of it would come out once they've got a graphics engine that can really work at 90 or 120 frames a second or whatever. But yeah, fantastic game. Loved what I've played of it so far. I'm gonna have to go back. I got so far on it before, and then I think I mentioned in the last video I broke my PlayStation 4 a couple of times. The second time they wiped the hard drive when they repaired it, so I've had to reinstall it. It's not like Steam. Oh no, it probably is. I'm gonna say something disparaging about PS4. I'm sure on the PlayStation you can upload your save games to it, but I think I'd switched that feature off, so I'd lost all of my save games. So I'm having to go back through Rapture again, but it's an enjoyable experience. The third of these walking simulators is actually a game that is a walking puzzler, and that's the Talos Principle. And it's a very strange game. It's sort of set in a future where I'm guessing the human race has been wiped out, and you're in some kind of virtual simulation of the mind of some supercomputer, and you're trying to experience or trying to find out what life is really all about. Seems to have quite a deep message, which I'm sure parts of it are lost on me, but it's a very nice puzzle game. So it's got the interesting talking of spirituality, you might be able to hear the mosque in the background. That's the call to prayers. I should have thought more about the time of day at which I'm filming this, but probably not too loud, so it's not going to drown me out. Yes, but the Talos Principle, wonderful puzzle game. As most good games do, they teach you something and then you build upon that. You learn how to use objects to reflect light, to open doors, and other things to levitate objects. And basically they're physical puzzles, and you go into a certain area, complete the puzzle, you get a little, almost like a Tetris brick reward, and then that is used to then unlock doors to get further into the realm. And then the object is, I haven't finished this game, but there's a tower which you have to ascend. As the more you're told not to ascend the tower, but I guess the secrets, the answers are up there. And I will sometime go back to it, but a couple of the puzzles that I've come across really stumped me, and I don't want to look on the internet to find the solutions to them. I want to figure them out for myself. I want to prove to myself that I'm not as stupid as I think I am. So yeah, I'll go back to Talos Principle at some time in the future. Again, another one that might be nice to play in VR. The last of these walking simulators is something that I played very recently. It's been out for a while, but I purchased it in the Steam Christmas sale and only played it just at the beginning of this year, and that's Firewatch. And it's had very good reviews, and rightly so. Again, it's got a very strong story that's delivered through a dialogue between your character and another character who's a watch person in another tower that you can see it, but you can't go to it. And so you're having a conversation. Your character is male, she's female, and you're talking over the walkie-talkies to each other. And obviously the friendship between them starts to build. I'm not spoiling too much by telling you that the reason the guy is there in the tower is because the relationship with his wife has broken down due to an illness. She's got, I think it's Alzheimer's, and so she has, her family have taken her into care, and you've kind of run away from the situation to kind of get over it and I guess find yourself. I don't know, well, I suppose there are many reasons why someone would not want to be in that situation. And so that in itself is quite interesting. Then within the game, interesting things happen in the woods, in the forest. So there's a whole story there that develops over the time, and the game is played out through certain days throughout the, I think, 3 months or whatever your contract is for working in the forest. I really enjoyed it. I think it's only playing through it at the pace I didn't really rush through the game. I think it took about 7 hours to complete. The game in the sale, I think, cost about £8 or £9 to buy, but even at the £15 full price, I think 7 hours of a really nice story is pretty good value for money. I mean, I'll pay £15 for a UHD Blu-ray, which is only a couple of hours worth of movie. So yeah, I think that represents good value for money. And I think with a lot of these games with single player campaigns, I know when they've got games that have got massive price tags, it's a £50-60 for the game, they feel they've got to stick in a 30-hour campaign. For me, sometimes it's just too long. That 7 hours was maybe a little too long, but felt about the right length to tell the story that it wanted to tell. Another game that I'm going to talk about later has a much longer campaign and felt a little bit too long for what it was. But those are the 4 games that are of that particular genre, and I really enjoyed each of them for the reasons that I mentioned. Another game that I have been playing quite a lot of, that's not a new game, it's a game I've played before but I got some new DLC for it, is Civilization 5, and it's added quite a long time ago, it added the Brave New World DLC pack, and I waited for it to come on sale because I thought, I'm not going to pay £20 for it for some DLC. To me, it didn't really seem like good value. I waited till it come down to half price, I think. And if you like Civilization 5, you like these kind of strategy games, which I do, Brave New World added some interesting new elements to it. I won't go into too much what it adds. You can find a good review of it online somewhere, but I would have to say it's already taken what I thought was a great game and exceeded my expectations and made it even better and gave me a reason to go back and enjoy it more. I haven't got Civilization 6 yet. I think I might get it at some point this year. I've heard some good things about it, so yeah, I'll take a look at that. Another game that is a game that I played before, and I played it on Xbox 360 but bought this time on PC, because I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I really get the hankering to play a game that I haven't played for a long time. And of course, if you've got your collection in front of you, it's just a case of getting the disc off the shelf and putting it in the drive and you can play again. Well, my Xbox 360 collection, or a lot of it, is back in the UK, and I really wanted to play LA Noire again. And so it was discounted on Steam at some point, and I think it was probably about £5. So I thought, yeah, I'll play through it again, and I have to say, I really, really like that game. I really like the motion capture of the faces of the characters. And playing it on PC, the actual bodies of the characters seemed of a higher polygon count or a better quality. One of the things I noticed on Xbox 360 is the faces looked so much better than the bodies that they were on, that there was some kind of awkward disconnect, with almost like an uncanny valley kind of situation where something looks really real, but then at the same time, because of that, it looks uncomfortably fake as well. So there was less of that uncomfortable feeling playing through on the PC. And I just love the kind of investigation games. Going back many years on the PC, I really liked the Police Quest series, particularly Police Quest 2. I never had it myself, but a really good friend, had the game, and I used to go and play it around at his house. And so playing LA Noire in some respects felt like those days of playing Police Quest 2. And yeah, just the slower pace of it. Yeah, there's a bit of action, the occasional car chase, occasional foot chase, occasional bit you have to do the shooting, but there's a big portion of it that's about investigating crime scenes, finding the clues, and interrogating the people and asking them the right questions to then get the right clues from them, to then go and fully investigate the case. And I'm still enjoying it. I play a little bit, maybe one chapter a week. I'll come back and play another little bit. But yeah, I really like that, and I'm so disappointed that it seems we're not going to see a sequel to that, or a game that's a spiritual successor to it. You know, maybe setting it, rather than in the 1950s, setting it in the 60s or even the 70s would be an interesting time period for a police detective story. So maybe some other development house will pick up the style of that game and run with it. Okay, now a couple of games I'd like to talk about next are ones that have been stylistically really interesting to me. And the first of those is a game, again, it's on PC, but I played it on PS4 because it was one of the PS Plus freebies, and I might not have played it otherwise. And it's called Transistor. And it's an isometric, not puzzle game really, but I suppose it is a puzzle game in a way, because the combat itself is a form of puzzle, that you have to work out the right strategy, especially later on, to defeat the robot enemies. But it's a nice story of a female protagonist who's a singer, and she has got the spirit of her dead lover. I think it's her dead lover or dead friend. It's been a while since I played it. In her sword, and it talks to her. It's the strangest of things. But in some respects, I suppose it's a little bit like Rogue Trooper from 2000 AD, where he's got the spirit or intelligence of his friends in his equipment, because isn't it his gun, his backpack and his helmet, something like that. Again, long time since I've read Rogue Trooper. But yeah, just a very bizarre story about this futuristic cyberpunk world. And as you go through the game, you kind of get the spirits of other people that become the energy weapons that you use to defeat the enemies. And it's a narrative driven piece where you kind of learning about the story of your character and why things have gone wrong. I definitely recommend it to anyone, just for the fact that it's quite an unusual and interesting game, and again can be something I'm sure that can be picked up for a few dollars, few pounds on Steam, or if you've got it, you've downloaded it, or you've added it to your PS Plus collection but not played it, Transistor is well worth a playthrough. Second game that had an interesting aesthetic for me was a game called Inside, and I suppose this could be described as a boy going on an adventure simulator, a side-scrolling boy on an adventure simulator, because that's very much what it is. It's like, and it's made by the same people who made Limbo. So if you've ever played that and you like the way that Limbo plays, this game is very much like that. It's got a very similar feel to the cadence of the boy's footsteps, the way that he runs, the way he moves, that feels very familiar. And even if I hadn't known before playing it that it was made by the same developer, I would have instantly thought Limbo when I started playing it. And as I said with Transistor, this is a game that the look of it really appealed to me. It's set in a dystopian future, and I guess the look is some kind of dystopian beauty. The colour palette that's used really appealed to me. The way they play with light is very interesting. And I don't want to tell you too much about the story, because I don't really want to give away the beats of the plot, because it does have a story, but there's no dialogue. The story is told through the actions in the scenes, what happens to the little boy, what's happening around the little boy in the background of the sequences, or I say the sequences, it's one long sequence that you play through. But I guess at the beginning of the story, I'm not really giving too much away, it looks like the boy's family or his neighborhood has been put in the back of a truck. All of the people are being sent off somewhere. He has obviously not been captured, and he's trying to evade those people that had rounded them up, and I guess trying to find them and rescue them. And so that's the adventure that you play through. But yeah, what can I tell? I mean, I suppose I can say it does have some small puzzle elements. There are bits that require a little bit of thought to figure out, but nothing too taxing mentally. It's a short game. I think 2 to 3 hours, I think it was, maybe just 2 hours to play through. And even then, I failed some of the things, so I had to retry them. So it wasn't, that wasn't a complete speed through. I don't know, a speed runner through the game might be able to do it in an hour. But whatever the length, whether an hour or 2 hours, I still think the about £10 I paid for it was very good value for money. Again, like I said before, paying £10 or £15 for a Blu-ray or something like that for 2 hours worth of entertainment seems okay to me, especially when you consider you pay about that to go to the cinema these days. At least this, you've got it and you can replay it again and again if you so wish. What I would suggest is, I know it's definitely available on Steam, and that is the demo. Download the demo and play through it. The demo is quite a nice chunk of the game that's available in there. And I have to admit, this is the first game I've ever downloaded a demo, got to the end of it, where it said, oh, you can buy the full game, do this to unlock the full game, and like that, I was like, yes, I definitely want to play more of this, and went straight to the website and through Steam, unlocked the game and just continued playing, and I'm so glad I did. I'm one of my gaming highlights of 2016, I have to say. Okay, the next game I want to talk about is something that I think for many people, they were expecting to be their gaming highlight of 2016. And it's a game that has disappointed and in some respects enthralled people. But I think it may well have been one of the most overhyped games, maybe ever, maybe. And that is, of course, No Man's Sky. And this is a game that I, like I'm sure many of you, was really looking forward to. But one of the things that I tend to do with games and movies is when I learn a little bit about it and I think, oh, that's of interest to me, I avoid other information about it. So, for example, I went to see the new Star Wars movie, Rogue One, recently, and I knew next to nothing about it. I knew that it was about a group of people stealing the Death Star plans. I didn't know the names of any of the characters. I didn't know what was in it. I mean, I'm not going to spoil anything if you're the same as me and don't like to know. I hadn't seen any of the trailers, so I went into it completely blind. I think I only saw the movie poster as I was going into the cinema to watch it. And so I kind of glimpsed some of the elements of the movie. And I have to say it was a great experience because I went to see it at one of the big IMAX theatres in Dubai at Mall of the Emirates. And they had one of the new laser projectors there that they're using. And my goodness, the picture quality is outstanding, really clear. Like the 3D was so crisp. One of the best movies I've seen in 3D. I would say probably the best that has been converted from 2D to 3D. I think it didn't look as good as Prometheus or Avatar. I mean, they look fantastic in 3D, but you know, they're shot in 3D. But anyway, enough about the movie because that's getting well off topic. No Man's Sky. So basically, as I was saying, I didn't really know anything about No Man's Sky. I deliberately avoided it. I'd seen a little bit of the game very briefly when it was first announced. And when I got the game and first played it, I was one of the lucky ones. I didn't really have any glitchy problems on the PC. I got it on day one, unlocked it as soon as I could start and started playing it as soon as I could. Yeah, I didn't have any issues with it. The biggest issue was just the loading screen being a bit jittery, and I've actually tried the game again recently and that doesn't seem to have gone away on my system. But yeah, I was able to play it right out of the gate, no crashing problems, nothing like that. And I really enjoyed it. You know, I thought, oh, this is nice. You know, you go around, you explore, you craft things, you build bits to get your spaceship off the planet and then go and explore other planets. And for the first few planets, it seems really good. Oh yeah, this planet's like a rocky planet. Oh, this planet's a bit greener and it's got more mountains. But it soon became apparent that the talk of vast varieties of different landscapes and creatures was not really there. You know, there was a certain types of flora that were almost identical on every planet, and even with the animals, they all had, you know, there were components of them that were remixed into new ones, but they all, you know, certain types of animals looked similar. So the immersion of being in this vast, unique galaxy really wasn't there. And a secondary issue was the way the story unravels. evolves, in that it's a lot of static encounters, like text-based encounters with creatures who there's not really anything too interesting going on between what you say and do to these creatures. You learn a little bit more about I think it's 3 or 4 races that seem to inhabit this galaxy. But by far and away, the biggest issue for me was actually a graphical issue, strangely enough. And that was the draw distance. It really, really broke the immersion that as soon as you get up into your spaceship and you're looking around the landscape, looking for something that might look like the particular mineral deposit that you want, or a particular metal that you want to mine, something in the distance might look like a familiar rock outcropping, and you get there and it looks completely different. And I'm sure it must be like graphically and CPU intensive to have that kind of field of view where there are creatures all over the landscape and you can see them far off in the distance, and when you get to them they are those same creatures. So might seem like a silly thing to some of you, but that really spoilt the game for me. I was quite happy at the slow pace, just meandering around the universe, flying to planets that, alright, they looked kind of similar, and the bases that you go to all sort of looked the same. But it was like an enjoyable afternoon stroll in the park. You go somewhere, you walk around a bit, but in this case, you get to name the things that you find with stupid names. So I would hope that either the love for this game still stays and that it gets upgraded to a better graphics engine sometime in the future, or someone else knows how to make a better version of this type of game and can deliver on it. Because it was a bit disappointing. Even though I probably got my money's worth out of it. I can't remember how much it cost. I think it was about £30 or £40, wasn't it, when it first came out? But I played about 20 hours of the game and pretty much enjoyed all of those 20 hours. Apart from that, when I was up in the air flying over the landscape, the rest of it I really quite enjoyed. And there has been quite a lot added to it in one of the more recent updates. I think the developers, wasn't it, Sean Murray, the lead developer, pretty much went silent after all of the media firestorm and the feedback from customers and the gaming community. He went silent, but they did deliver an upgrade. But I can totally understand why people were so upset with it, because after playing the game for a bit and hearing all of the negative comments that people were having, not just, obviously there are negative comments when something is broken and the game crashes and they can't really play it. The other comments about them not really enjoying the game and it not being anything like what they expected it to be. Because personally, the little that I'd seen of it, what I got is what I expected. So I went back and watched some of those videos where Sean Murray's playing the game and showing everybody what it's like, and I totally understood why people were so angry. It looked much, much better. The variety of species were far more interesting. The beautiful planets that he chose to show, obviously pre-rendered, pre-created, that they could fly to, were great. The things that were going on in space, the flotillas of ships. I know that sort of thing has been added to it now, but there was a lot that should have been there at launch. There's still a lot that they were promising that I'm sure should be there now. And I think the biggest gripe people had, that there was a chance that you could meet someone in that universe if you both end up eventually going to the same planet. And on the first, was it the first day or the second day it was out, two people tried to do this and videoed it, and they couldn't see each other. So all of that about being able to actually see another character in the universe was either a complete lie or just total hubris on part of the developers. So it was quite funny. But I would like to go back and play it some more when they really fix that game. So I guess that's one of the most modern games that I've got to talk about. But the other, I think the most recent game that I've bought and played, I think it came out about 6 months ago, I only got it at Christmas time, was the new Doom game. Now, before I talk about it, I have to apologise that I have got no footage of the new Doom title. And it's kind of my own fault. I played all the way through it, got to the end, and thought, okay, I need to free up a bit of space on my hard drive, so I deleted the content. And literally 5 seconds after I'd clicked delete content, I realised I'm going to want to talk about this. I'm going to need some video footage. And I just couldn't be bothered to sit through the 78 gigabyte installation for this game. So sorry for that. I've got no footage of Doom, but there's lots and lots and lots of footage on the internet if you haven't played it and you are interested. And you should, if you like first-person shooters, I think you should give it a go. Again, it's another one that's got quite a good demo. Available for it. I know it's on Steam. I bet it's on Xbox and PlayStation Store. So yeah, download the demo, give it a play. I guess if you, what am I saying? If you like it, of course, you'll buy it. But I just want to talk about, obviously, the things that I really liked about the game. And I think the first of those was the speed of the game. Now, I've been very used to playing things like Call of Duty, or the older Call of Duty games, Battlefield, and they've got quite a obviously realistic pace to it. But when you go back and look at the original Doom, it was really fast. It kind of whipped through those levels, and this new Doom game has a very similar pace to it. It's very well executed. No pun intended, because it does have execution death moves in it, but the way in which you speed through the levels, it's quite hectic. You've always got to keep on the move because the monsters will take you down quite quickly. I mean, I didn't play it on the hardest level. I don't think my skill's quite there. I played it on the Hurt Me Plenty skill level, and by the time I got into the game, that's probably a little bit too easy. I should have been a bit braver and notched it up to the next difficulty level. But still there was challenge. Still there were parts of it where it took me, a few goes to get through that particular wave. Because really it is a sort of wave shooter linked together with bits of platforming. Because, you explore a level, get to a particular area, all of these little things zip out of the ether and appear, come from hell, and they start attacking you. But yeah, I think when you consider how nice the game looks and how well it runs, I know it runs well on PS4, or at least that's what I've been told. On my GTX 1070 based system, I've only got a 1080p monitor, but it runs pretty much at 144 frames per second for a lot of the game. So it's really nice and super smooth, which is what I personally prefer above higher pixel counts. I take smoothness of gameplay over graphical fidelity any day of the week. So I'm really happy to play at 1080p at ultra settings, and playing it at a very high frame rate feels really nice, smooth. I actually, although I was playing it on PC, I played it with a controller. I'm so used to playing first-person shooters on the consoles with a controller. It felt a little bit alien going back to a mouse and keyboard, so I was quite comfortable playing on the Xbox 360 pad on my PC. But yeah, really enjoyed it. But this is the game I was talking about a little while ago, that the campaign felt a bit too long for me, at least for the story they were telling. It moved along quite nicely. The story's fairly interesting. The bits of acting in it are quite well delivered. The sort of actions that your Doom Marine character does, the way he interacts with things is quite interesting. Again, it's another game with a voiceless protagonist, or all of the voices that you hear come from the other characters. But yeah, it's all about the shooting, and it does that very well, and it does a great job of feeling like the original Doom, but adding a lot of the modern elements that you've come to expect from games. The sort of the power-ups, the upgrades to weapons. So each weapon that you get has 2 unlockable upgrade features. So for example, the combat shotgun has the ability to have a triple burst that you kind of charge up, or you can have explosive shells. Again, I think it's something you have to charge, and you fire it like an explosive shell. So yeah, it does all that well, but it still has all of the things that you would recognize from the original Doom 1 and 2. Things like the Coco demons, I think they're called, the big round things with the one eye, and the giant barons of hell, and obviously other remixes of those things in the new game as well. Some other cybernetic upgrades of previous enemies that you've encountered. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, although I would have preferred the campaign to be probably 2 or 3 hours shorter than it actually was. I had a lot of fun with it. I haven't played multiplayer. I might do at some point in the future, but as I said, I've deleted it from my hard drive, so I think I'll move on to something different to play now. And I suppose the last thing to talk about is, just very briefly, the things that I'm still playing that I've played for quite a long time. And it surprises me how much I still enjoy playing Battlefield 4. I'm pretty terrible at the game still, after all these years of playing it on PC. Pretty awful. I've just last night reinstalled it on my PlayStation 4, so I think I'm going to play some of that this afternoon to see if I'm any better on the PS4, because it's not just my skill, it's the skill of the other players. And I think playing against PC players with their keyboard and mouse, they're so fast, some of them, and they're so accurate that yeah, a lot of the time I don't stand much of a chance. So yeah, Battlefield 4, I still enjoy playing it. I haven't even been interested in buying Battlefield 1 because Battlefield 4 more than satisfies me. I've played the demo of Battlefield 1, and yeah, I quite enjoyed it, but really, in some ways, it's just a reskinning of the other game, and yeah, it's got horses. But I've heard that for the tanks and things, it's like Battlefront, where you have to pick up a token to get in the vehicle, which I don't think I like. So yeah, I might play it at some point in the future, but that'll only be when I'm really bored of playing Battlefield 4. And another game that this is a game that I think I will like and enjoy forever. For as long as I enjoy playing video games, I will enjoy playing Resogun. Again, it's another one that I've reinstalled on the PS4, and yeah, I'm a bit annoyed that my hard drive was wiped, because I lost all of the ships that I'd created in the ship creator. So I'd sort of made like a Star Trek Enterprise type ship and a couple of other ships from Star Trek and some other weird creations of my own, and most of them I didn't upload to the Resogun servers, so I'll have to make them again. But yeah, Resogun, I mean, I still like going back and playing Defender or Planetoid on the BBC as it is on that system, and enjoy it just as much as I did as when I was a kid. And Resogun's a very similar sort of game, and I can see myself enjoying that as long as I don't have too much arthritis in my joints as an old man, because Resogun just brings a smile to my face every time I play it. And every time I lose at it, lose a life or lose completely, I feel that it's a lack of my own skill, that I've made a mistake. I never feel like I'm cheated by the game, and it's just so nicely balanced. I really, really like it, and I'm very excited about it's called Nex Machina, the new game that's coming out from Housemarque, the developers of Resogun, and Eugene Jarvis, the creator of Defender, have collaborated on what kind of looks like a reimagining of Robotron 2084. Yeah, it looks very, very cool. And I can see that being a day one purchase when it comes out on PS4. And I must admit, I'm a little bit tempted to get a PS4 Pro, because some of these games would look really good. I know graphics, as I said, graphics are not that important, but they would look really nice on the 4K TV. I don't know, maybe I'll just wait until that PlayStation dies. I don't think it's got much longer left in its life, and maybe by then the PS4 Pro will have dropped a little bit in price. So, well, that pretty much brings me to the end of everything I want to speak about relating to this list of games, and I'm sure that I have lost many of you, but for those of you that have stayed to the end of this video, thank you very much. Again, thank you for watching the last video, thank you for watching this video, and I look forward to uploading a future video. As I said, I'm very excited to make the VR video, but I think the next one I'll make will probably be a How Far on One Life video, or maybe a little video about some of the upcoming games that I've heard about that I'm excited to play this year, or well, you know what games are like. Could be 2018 by the time some of this year's releases actually come out. So, from my living room to wherever you are, this is Simon signing off. Bye bye.